After recently joining the Tenchfishers as the first member from the Benelux, I recently saw the request for media. So yeah, despite it not being my own language, I'm going to try my best to give a twist on the Tenchy tackle box, and I'm going to change it a bit into what's in my bag to show how I keep things organized whilst doing my spring tench fishing. Well, first of all, I'm working for Korda in the Benelux, so it explains why a lot of the stuff you see is like Korda or Guru, but yeah, it's like the company I work for, and to be fair, it never let me down. So yeah, there's no point in buying stuff from other companies if there is no need to do so. Well, the rucksack, it's a small 30-liter one, which I use for most of my fishing. If it's carp fishing, barbel fishing, perch fishing, no matter what, I'm just bringing this, and there's just a couple of things that I change around depending on what I'm fishing for. Yeah, quickly start with one of the side pockets. I really like my photography, so I always carry a 100mm macro lens that goes into a side pocket. It has a bit of extra space for a deeper or whatsoever. Then if I go into the main compartment of the rucksack, this is where I'll normally have like toothbrush, those kind of things to keep me fresh on the bank. Now I'm doing a longer session of 4 days, so yeah, you have to take care of yourself. I've got my permits in there, towel of course. I've got like a compact bag filled with my big power bank, a bivy light, those kind of things. And in there, I also have like a medium camera bag that hosts my my camera, flash, and those kind of things. So that's, I would say, all my electronics, towel and stuff to take care of myself, but basically not really any fishing stuff in there. So nothing that has to do with the actual fishing itself. The top pocket, that's where I normally put like my wallet, hat, torch, those kind of things. And that leaves me with a front pocket that it's filled with this small, nice basics tackle box. I'll go deeper into that slightly later in the video, but first we look in the other side pocket. And in here, I've got, of course, a receiver, some polarizing glasses, and I've got a compact bag, a small one. And it says Zilt, which is Dutch, where I'm from the Netherlands. Zilt is Tench in the Netherlands. So yeah, for all the different styles of angling, like floater fishing, normal carp fishing, barbel fishing, perch fishing, I've got a bag like this with a lot of essentials in there, just clearly written down for what I needed. So if I go fishing for tench, I'll take this one. And in here, well, I'm just going to show you right now. Okay, let's start with the small tench bag. Top compartment, I've got all kinds of packages in there. Like, I've got a variety of fake imitation baits. I've got some Drennan buoyant maggots. For most of my maggot fishing, I've been using 2 of those on the hair. Normally the white ones, as in the Netherlands, you're not allowed to use red maggots. So to me, it normally doesn't really make sense to fish something really bright on top of white maggots, which I'm using in my maggot feeders. But it's always interesting to just have a play around and find out what works best. Got some Megaliner grubs. I haven't been using Megaliners a lot, but yeah, if you got them, you might as well bring them. And then I've got the caster hook baits that I've been using for, I would say, nearly all of my fishing in the last 3 years. Up until this session, those were always the Drennan buoyant casters, and I've been catching so well on them that I didn't find any need to try anything else. But then I spoke to Gary Newman in the office in the UK, and yeah, he told me that whilst fishing Korda Lake and a couple of other places, he found out that the red Drennan of red Enterprise casters were actually getting him a lot more bites than the more natural colored Drennan ones. So that got me interested, and yeah, being curious, this session I tried out 1 rod with the red Enterprise caster, fishing 2 rods with my trusty Drennan casters, and it's been really crazy. I can honestly say that I've had more bites on the 1 rod with the red than 2 rods with the Drennan. At some points during the session, I've changed around using all 3 rods with just the Drennans, and I was getting as much bites, but as soon as I put one of those reds out, I was getting the bites on just that rod. So yeah, it's really crazy, but definitely something to try out during more sessions and on different venues as well. Those are the fake baits. In here I've got 2 different spools of braid. Those are the braids that I have been using up until last year, but I just still carry them around. I was always using the Korda micro braid for more open water, not so weedy venues where I could just play fish normally. Every now and then you face a situation where you have to play them a bit harder, there's more snags, more weed. Then I was going for the thicker, stronger 18-pound Supernatural. It's bulletproof, but still fits through the eye of a small hook, so yeah, that's brilliant. And something else I've got in here are stems that I use to turn my inline maggot feeders into a swivel kind of version, so I can use the same ones for fishing heli setups. So yeah, let's have a look at those. Put this quickly back in the top compartment, zip it. Okay, these are the inline maggot feeders I just mentioned. So yeah, they're brilliant. Those are the large 2-ounce ones. I can just remove this, put one of those stems in there, and then they turn into a nice heli version. But to be fair, I hardly ever use heli setups. I'm just a really big fan of using inline setups, as I think the bolt rig effect of it is a lot better than a heli setup. And if it's slightly weedy, I'll rather go for a method feeder, which I'll explain in a couple of seconds after showing these. I've got some 10-pound fluorocarbon. In case I use a heli setup, I'd rather use those kind of stiffer materials than a braided rig, but for my inline setups, I'll go for braid. Some spare marker elastic, and I always got a spare large method mold, which I use for my method feeders. Also got one in my bait bucket, but yeah, in case you would lose something really bright orange, I've got a spare one. And then in this wallet, I've got the method feeders I've been using for most of my tench fishing. It's the large inline 45-gram model of Guru. And what I really like about fishing these is that if it's really nice and clear and gravelly, it just makes sense. But even if it's just like a soft layer of silkweed or any kind of debris, because they're really nice flat surface with some bait on top of it, with your hook bait on top of it, it just falls on top of it and creates a nice patch. And even in slightly weedy conditions, I'll be using them to great effect. And got those in this little box in my compact bag. So let's have a look at the tackle box. Yeah, and this little beauty is not my Tench tackle box. You can almost say it's my everything else than carp fishing tackle box, because if it's barbel, tench, bream, perch, you name it, I've been using this. And first thing that I've done after getting this is actually pull this bit out and remove this section of the tackle box, because by doing so you can actually get the nice square spools in there as well and just close it. And the nice thing, if I have got this tackle box on my lap whilst tying rigs, I just use this this bit of the box to get all like snippets of line and all the trash that I want to get rid of later on. I just put it in there whilst tying some rigs. The rigs, they go into a small rig board. I've got some fresh ones made up for the next session, because I'm close to packing up and going home. And let's be careful with removing this. I've got some floats, float stops and those kind of things in there as well. To be fair, I hardly ever float fish for tench, as I'm fishing larger gravel pits and normally have to cast a long way plus fish longer sessions. But I use this tackle box as well for my more traditional float fishing for carp. So I've got various floats and float stops in there. Nothing really special. Some spare baiting needles, but it's just nice to store it underneath. Then I've got some spools. Of course, marker elastic. I always mark my lines, so it's really easy to clip the lines before reeling in and have a quick recast without always using the distance sticks. But when it's really kicking off, more often than not, I'm also just clipping the rods whilst playing fish. So if I got a bite, I just pick up the rods and put the line underneath the clip, as long as I have full control. Some armor cord, which I use as a leader material for my spot rod. I've got some bait floss, which I sometimes use to attach some split shot on, so I can use it for like fishing lift style in the float. It's a trick that I've seen from Martin Bowler, like using a small rig ring and attaching a weight to it. And then this is the hook link material I've been using the last 2 years for a lot of my fishing. It's just like the casters. It's a tip I got from Gary Newman. He used this, I got onto it, and I absolutely love it. It's thin, it's mega strong, and yeah, never let me down in those 2 years of using it non-stop. Some split shots, some hair stops, yeah, you can't make it any easier. And then those compartments, more fake baits. I've got some small Guru LED clips in there, which I haven't used for tench fishing, but they are in there because I really like to use them for my barbel fishing. And yeah, as I use this as a multi-species tackle box, I just carry them around. Some speed stops, which you can use for worm kebabs, but I tend to use them mostly for fishing really big worms, juicy ones, whilst perch fishing. And then a variety of split shots, some float adapters, which you can just push the float in. And then I'm going to this side of the box. I've got a little bit of rig foam in case I want to pop up some hook baits. I've got these really nice, neat, I'm not even know how they call it, like run rig kind of beads from Guru, which are really small, and I tend to use those for mostly my perch fishing. And then I've got a variety of hooks in here. I've got some mixers in, I think they're size 8s, which I use for my float fishing for carp. And then I've got some snap links, which I use to create running rigs combined with those, so I can quickly change and remove the leads if needed. But yeah, that's just for my perch fishing. Then hook wise, I've got 4 pockets, and those are all Guru MWGs. I think those are the super ones, barbed. I tend to actually crush barbs a lot whilst doing most of my fishing, but by having the barbed, I can choose whatever I want. And I've got them in sizes 10, 12, 14 and 16. For tench fishing, I tend to go for the size 12s. My bream fishing, I've got a better experience and slightly less hook pulls using a 10. The 10 is also what I use for my barbel fishing, my perch fishing. And if I want to do float fishing, fishing for slightly smaller tench with tiny hook baits, I've got the 2 smaller versions. But yeah, that's all I carry around. This combined with the compact bag and then everything in the rucksack is all I need for my fishing.